there, Bourbon Real Talk listeners and watchers. We have a very, very exciting crossover episode today with Bourbon Blind. And I have Kyle and Aaron on with us today. And thank you for being on, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
we're excited to be here.
Yeah, so, we in the bourbon community, we've got to, take care of each other and all that stuff. And I saw your channel, and I love the concept of trying Bourbon Blind, just because I feel like there's a lot of, mental influence, if you will. And I like to taste things blind because I think you get a real sense for whether or not you really like it. And if you like what you see today on this program, I'd love for you to go like, subscribe, review, comment. And also, I'd like you to check out the Bourbon Blind channel. They got some good content going on over there. It'd be a real good idea for you to subscribe with them too.
So you guys know what's up. We taste Bourbon Blind. We don't know what it is. We give it a price tag and we'd be willing to pay for a bottle without that hype of the label, because let's face it, Randy, there is some real hype out there that there's some bottles that they've got a lot of hype or they're really expensive, and sometimes they're just not worth it. So we sent Randy over 4 samples. He was kind enough to send us 5 samples. And so we're going to go ahead and taste through these blind and probably make a fool of ourselves because, that's what we do.
I do have your vials here. So I'm going to go ahead and pour these. Should I be tasting these all against each other? Was that your intention?
There is no theme. There's no theme.
Okay.
So I did put them in there, proof lowest to highest.
Okay.
Just for continuity's sake, I guess you could say, for tasting sake.
Gotcha.
But yeah, other than that, there's most people like to go low to high proof, so I did that. And like I said, if you want to do that, cool. If you want to go another way, have at it.
Ooh. I'm going to guess that second one's Dickel. So can I just kind of call out what I'm experiencing as I go?
That's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me... Wow. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that number 2 is Dickel. Because it's got a strong B vitamin note. Flintstone vitamin flavor. I had to guess. But I could be wrong. Number 1 I'm liking.
Okay.
I think I'm getting a hint. I'm getting a hint of nuttiness on number 1. But sometimes I confuse a banana flavor for nuttiness. And so...
Interesting.
That is an interesting one.
Yeah, this number 1, I don't hate it. It's decent whiskey. It's a little bit light for me. And I'm thinking it's either a lower proof Brown Forman, like maybe like a 1890 or 1897 Old Forester, maybe a Woodford, possibly a Jack, but there's something else that's making me think it might be Heaven Hill, because there's a little bit of a nuttiness to it as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of coming across to me as maybe even an Elijah Craig, something like that. So I'm going to call that either one of the Brown Formans or Elijah Craig, getting some nuttiness, a little bit of banana. On number 3, I like number 3. I think it's a rye. I think the first 2 were bourbons. I think number 3 is probably a rye.
Okay.
Or maybe a high rye bourbon. But I'm getting a lot more baking spice.
Yep, I definitely get that on there.
Yep.
A lot of clove. A lot of clove on that. I wouldn't venture a guess on which producer it was.
That's fine.
But
I honestly, personally, I try not to because I'm terrible at it. I used to be really good. Same thing with Erin. She used to be really good, but the more you drink,
The less accurate you are.
and you know what I mean? Like you have more to go off of, and that's just everything kind of jumbles together.
What was hilarious with me is I would be picking them out without even knowing really what bourbon was at that point. And I was like, oh, this is so-and-so. And Carl would be like, what? And I'm like, well, I only had like, a couple tastes in my
4 or 5
repertoire.
different distilleries.
So, I mean, but now it's like, I have no clue what this is. The fact that you can even get an idea of distillery out of it is pretty cool.
well, and I've concentrated an awful lot on trying to what's the identifying characteristic of a distillery, right? So
Right.
on Four Roses, I always get fruity floral, and I often get a smoke, especially on the single barrel, the cash strength single barrels. I get smoked cherries. 1792, I get medicinal cherry and banana.
Yep.
About brown foreman. Wild turkey, I get a dark cherry, and then
My personal lack of favorite, I can actually call one distillery out pretty consistently of their cherry Coke.
oh really? And I get a lot of cherry on Booker's too, but I get a nuttiness on the lower proof Booker's, peanuts specifically. But the Booker's, a lot of times I'll get a nice cherry. So number 4, oh man, it's very perfumey. So it's more fruity floral.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a sweetness on the mid palate.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think that it's either a toasted barrel finish, but more likely it might be a corn whiskey, or at least a bourbon that's very corn forward.
Okay. I'm gonna say you're on the
Wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but also you're I mean, it's in that general direction.
Hold on.
It's towards that general direction.
Oh, that's light whiskey.
Okay.
That's definitely light whiskey. I think it might be MGP light whiskey.
Okay.
I get this blueberry note on Texas, like blue corn whiskeys.
Right.
And I also get it on the MGP light whiskey. And it tastes like a blueberry muffin to me, for sure.
That's not a bad thing.
So I'm guessing that number 4 is a light whiskey. Number 2 is definitely Dickel. I'm going on the record. I'm unsure on 3, but I've given my notes. And 1,
I get the blueberry. I never got blueberry on this before, but I totally understand your blueberry sensation.
My brain was trying to like place it, and then when I placed it, I was like, boom, that's it. It's got to be light whiskey. All right, so I think I've made my calls. Can you do the reveal?
What was number 3?
Number 3, I didn't guess a producer.
Okay, then that's fine.
Wait, now in true bourbon fashion, hold up.
But I gave it. I said that I thought it was a rye or a high rye bourbon, and that it had a lot of clove.
Which there is a lot of baking spice on that.
Baking spice.
What I love about that bottle.
So I think that one's probably a rye.
Okay, so in true bourbon blind fashion, what are you willing to pay to get A, B, C, and D in your bar?
What am I willing to pay?
What would be the most you'd be willing to pay for like number 1, without feeling bad?
Without feeling bad. Okay.
You buy it, you bring it home, you taste it, and you go, yeah, I'd pay that for it.
How much would I be willing to pay? Okay. I'm going to go on the record. Okay. I'd be happy at about $35. Okay. But
number 1.
I'm also going to say I'm starting to taste some evidence of maybe a higher age that's been proofed down more than it should have been.
Okay.
Okay, so this is starting to taste a little bit like the 17-year Master's Keep that came out like 4 years ago.
That's
Okay.
great.
There was like a whatever, $190, $180.
Right.
Because there's a little bit of extra oak in this, but I'm going to say $35. I feel like if it was in that Elijah Craig range, I'd be happy with it. If it's one of the super high end ones that has high age, I'd be unhappy at $180.
So,
All right. So number 2.
Hold on. My question now is, do you want to see the bottles as
Actually,
the proof?
yeah. Why don't we
Why
do
don't we
that?
release them? So you said $35. So our first bottle, are you ready?
Okay. All right. I'm not mad
Heaven
at that.
Hill, Green Label.
I said I thought it was Heaven Hill, so I'm not mad at myself for that.
Nope. You were definitely on the right track.
And if I remember correctly, Kyle, what is the cost on this?
Like $12.
Yeah.
If you can get it, because isn't this the one that's been retired?
No, it's Kentucky only though.
That's the white label retired.
Yes.
Gotcha. So $12. You said 35. I would say that that's a win.
That's a win. Yeah.
So there we go.
I'm glad that I was at least one of my guesses was Heaven Hill, so that's not terrible.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Number 2, you were really confident on Dickel, like right out of the gate.
Yeah. So I think it's Dickel, and I just wouldn't buy it.
Okay.
But it's not, and I don't hate all Dickel, but the more Dickel-y it is, the less likely I am to like it.
That's fair.
If I had to guess how much this bottle cost, I'm guessing it's one of their like around $40 bottles, something like that. I think it's probably around a $40 bottle, but I wouldn't be happy if I paid that.
I wish I paid $40 for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm really sad that you got Dickel on this
Because it
Oh
is.
my God. What's the state of distillation?
Tennessee.
Well, it's Dickel.
It is.
I didn't realize that.
And the cost on it was $179.
Oh, bro. Hey, when Smooth Ambler switched to Tennessee a few years ago, I did the same thing. Someone was like, I have a 13-year, Smooth Ambler. And I'd been drinking all these 10, 11, and 12-year Smooth
And you're like,
Amblers.
yes.
And I was like, yes. And he's like, 110. And I was like, all day. And then I get home and someone's like, have you tasted that? And I was like, no. And they're like, it's Dickel. And I was like, son of a biscuit. So I
did the same thing with this one. I saw it and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and I was like, I got it home and I was like, oh, all right. And I personally have no problem with Dickel. I like a lot of their products. I don't get that vitamin flavor. She does.
I do.
But at $180, $200, whatever, like the 11 and 13-year bottled and bond for $40, for me, it's a no-brainer. I like it.
So on number 3, I've got to venture a guess as to price.
This is usually a fan favorite.
You're influencing him. Shush your mouth.
I'm going to go 45. And I'm going to guess it's Pikesville since you said it's a fan favorite.
I didn't say it was a fan favorite. I would not influence.
It is a bourbon, not a rye.
I don't influence flavors. This guy's not used to doing this stuff blind and doing like all the things. He's just used to being able to drink and call it. So he's influencing you right now. And that's
All right. Well, I thought it was a rye from the get-go, so I missed it. $45 is what I guessed. Yeah.
It is a lot of baking spice.
There really is a lot of baking spice on the 4-gate. And this is batch number 3. It is absolutely, if you like that baking spice, this is where it's at. I get
9-year, 9-month Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
I love it.
114.9 proof.
As you can see, I love it.
Do we have any idea what the mash bill is on that? How high the rye?
No. Rumor was that it was turkey, and I talked to DJ over at River 101, and he said he talked to Eddie, and it does not gobble.
There's no way that's turkey. That doesn't sound like turkey at all. Yeah, I would think.
Beyond that, no one knows.
All right. Well, so far I'm not killing it. All right. So let's see. On number 4, I got to venture a price.
Yes.
So
blueberry.
Oh,
most you'd be willing to pay without feeling bad.
okay. Hold on. So I know Bourbon 30. They use MGP light whiskey in their blends, and so I'm guessing it's either Bourbon 30 and it's $150, or it's some sort of a MGP light whiskey that's around $45 or $60. And I would pay. If I paid $65 for this, I'd be happy.
Okay.
Okay. So that's my answer.
So Bourbon 30, aren't they known by, am I missing?
Yeah.
That's the right one, right? So Bourbon 30 is also known as I break a bottle, JD Mattingly. And
Yeah,
you got it. You nailed it.
Okay.
And it is 11-year light whiskey?
There's an age statement on it.
12-year light whiskey, something like that?
All right. So I called Heaven Hill. I called the Dickel, and I called the MGP light whiskey.
You did.
I mean, I screwed the pooch on the floor gate, but I've never even heard of that. So
That's okay.
that's not a terrible outcome. I thought it was going to be way, way more off. Although I thought it was a rye and it's a bourbon. So,
but I mean, there is a lot of baking spice on there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's totally fair.
All right. So I'm super excited for you guys to do yours because we went in a completely different direction with our selections.
Ooh. Number one on the nose is like straight up textbook bourbon, caramel, vanilla, little bit of baking spice.
There's something else in there.
Brown sugar.
I'm going to say either pears. I mean, yes, everything you just said was absolutely 100% correct, but there is something else fruity in there. Maybe a hint of banana or pears, and it's not like banana runts, thank God, but I don't
get the brown Foreman banana on that.
No, it's not brown Foreman. There's something there. It's either pears or bananas.
Choose a little bit more spicy.
I'm realizing how hard it is for you guys to not comment as you hear the other person give tasting notes. There's stuff that you're saying, and I'm like, I want to.
There's a cream brulee on number B.
Creme brulee, okay.
There's a creamy, and I'm getting fruit on this one too, so I'm hoping to God it's not my nose. But like cream brulee, burnt sugar, creamy.
I tried one.
Okay, we're gonna just taste them, and that might actually clear my nose up some.
I was gonna start and then.
And maybe we should give price ranges before we go through them all and then get lost.
So number one, I almost get like a dustiness aspect to it.
And a spicy finish.
Yeah.
And not like spicy in the sense of like hot, but like a, I want to say like a chili peppery, not but not, how to explain it? Like a chili pepper that you like to taste, not like a super, super spicy, but like it's got like a spicy flavor to it, like chili pepper spicy, but not that to that extent. It's not cinnamon, it's not clove, it's not nutmeg, it's not, but it's spicy. It's like a earth spice.
There's an earthiness there.
Okay, well, I could be wrong. I like it.
Do you want to give a price on it?
Say $45, $50.
That's about where I'd be at.
I would definitely be happy with that. I don't think I'd be happy if I was spending $60 on it.
Might do 60, but
I'm really curious by this one because, like, I totally got fruit on the mouth.
I will say there's no distillery that. It almost has like a dusty turkey aspect to it, but there's no.
It's very.
There's nothing that's jumping out at me as far as like a distillery goes.
Definitely not Four Roses. Definitely not. It's definitely not Jim Beam. There's no nuts. There's no.
I don't think it's Four Roses. Definitely not.
I'm definitely not Four Roses. Maybe turkey. Maybe a Heaven Hill. I don't know. We'll figure it out. How much are you on at 50?
I could do 60 on that.
60? Okay, do we want to see them as we go? I think that would be kind of cool. Are you willing to be?
Well, is there a theme to this?
Let's go through the first 3.
Okay.
And then I want to know what your favorite of the first 3 are.
Got it.
Okay.
And then we'll do the reveal.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, this one's definitely a little more fruitier than A.
More spicy on the palate, though.
So
There's like a creme brulee aspect to it.
I'm curious, and I'll ask you this after you try the third one, but so far, do you like A or B more?
I don't know. I kind of am equal with both of them. I mean, they're both very similar. And I know that's not something I usually like to say, but there's nothing herb spicy on it. Like it's an herb, and I can't pinpoint it, and it's not anything that. I'm in this one at like 45, 50 bucks too. I mean, I'd be perfectly content with either one of them. Would I be able to tell the one A or B versus each other? I don't think so.
I think I like A just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
B has more flavor, but A has a little more of what I like. Does that make sense?
I was going to actually go maybe in a little bit. I mean, we're talking like this, but it might be like this. A's back, I call it back, and the A's finish was a lot more hot for me. And not hot in ethanol hot, but like spicy hot.
Yeah.
B's a little bit more milder, but has more upfront flavor, I guess. So I'm perfectly content to spend 45 or 50 bucks on either one of these. And it's green apples to red apples.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're just different. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to say one's better than the other. They're just different. Like
I'm very confused. I should have been smelling that. Kyle would still live in that glass. I can already tell the look on his face.
Oh. Three's nose is
spot on.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay, so you can get your nose out of it, and you're going to taste it too on top of it. You brat. Okay, so there's hot. So you can't just tell it's hot. There's a little bit of cherry. I'm not fully convinced this might not be something I might not like. There's some cherry and oak.
There's
and vanilla-y, but just a hint of vanilla, not much. But it's mostly cherry.
There's like
and maybe a funk.
A wood aspect to it. And I don't want to say like oak, like
a mossy.
Yes.
Like a funk.
Yes. Because I was thinking like a fresh oak, but I think mossy oak is more.
And that's at least like when I first smelled this, I was like, all I got was the cherry, and I'm like, oh God, please don't. Not that there's anything wrong with Buffalo Trace, but we all know how much I hate it. So, all right, let's get into it.
Okay.
I was thinking that I just inhaled it as well. I drank it.
You shouldn't do that.
No,
don't breathe the whiskey.
I did.
I say
and
it
hit like right up in my mouth, but it is not Buffalo Trace. I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
That's a good thing. After I inhaled it.
There's this creamy aspect to
there
it.
Really is.
Like a custard, and I like it.
I wish I hadn't breathed when I was swallowing. Apparently, I haven't learned that trick in school.
Do you have water?
I do.
Water, yeah. I
get like a star anise.
Yes.
Okay.
Like an anise flavor.
You hit that one right. Well, I want to say yes, but then I'm like, but the licorice isn't there that you get in star anise.
Is it
like the spicy aspect of it?
But no licorice.
No.
Aaron, do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm in this.
I'd say 60 to 75.
I'd say 70 to 80 bucks, easy.
Maybe I should say 65 to 75. That's a little bit less of a range.
So do you like it more than A and B?
Yes.
You do?
And I hate to say this. This is probably because of the proof. I think the proof is on C. That's not on B and A.
Okay. And so I'm curious how wrong I am. Okay. Are y'all done giving your tasting notes on 1, 2, and 3?
I think we are.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
we're both in it on 45 to 50 on A and B, and then
Full
C is probably, Kyle said 75 to 80, and I think I'm in it at 65 to 70.
All right, Aaron, I want you to pick up glass 3 and smell it again and tell me if you get any green olive juice.
Actually, when I tasted that, I was like, why am I getting this flavor? I'm not saying it out loud. So yes, I was thinking it when I tasted it, and I actually was like, maybe it's because I inhaled it, and I was like, why am I getting olives? So, but yes, I did get that. It's funny you said that, because I was like, I could say this, but I'm thinking that because I inhaled at the wrong moment that I got that, but that's what took it's like a vinegary.
Yeah,
like,
it's a little vinegary. You're going to see
and
why.
Totally, you could hear it in my voice. I was like, oh God.
All right, so we're 45 to 50 on A, right?
Yeah.
A is Elijah Craig 18.
Okay.
All right.
What is that price point? So I'm awful. I don't buy our alcohol. What is the retail on that?
150 to 180, depending on the store. And so B, which you like equally to A, was Elijah Craig small batch.
Sorry.
Now, hold on. It is a club pick.
Okay.
So the club that I run, we picked this.
Right.
And you started saying some of the tasting notes that's why we picked that barrel. And so you were spot on with this. This bottle, I think, was $34.
Okay.
Something.
Right.
So we're a win on that. And you know, the fun part about single barrels is you can really get some amazing juice. I mean, there are some Knob Creek single barrels that are just Booker's killers, or anything else, stab killers for that matter in my book. But when you get a good barrel, it is cream of the crop. And then like you can pay that $35 and compare it to, you know, the 18-year rah.
Right.
And I'm excited to hear that we really did, at least, I don't know about you, but me, they felt that they were right like this.
Right. Yeah.
So
And y'all
that
kept
was
talking about how they were, you know, on par with each other, and like, well, they're the same whiskey, they're just different ages, you know.
So going back to A, like, I get almost no oak on that.
And it's all I get, and I hate it. I hate that barrel. I hated
Really?
that bottle. And the day that I opened it, somebody had traveled to Oklahoma, and they had their drop at the same time as Texas, where I live. And I got it from Texas, and the guy that had traveled from Oklahoma brought one back from Oklahoma. So it was a completely different barrel. And we opened them up together, and his was great, and mine I didn't like at all. But I'm super sensitive to oak. And I get a little bit of that green olive juice on that Elijah Craig 18 as well. That vinegariness, just a little bit. But are y'all ready for number 3? Y'all said 75 was your top end?
75 to 80, yeah.
Try 1450 for Pappy VanWinkle 20-year.
That's exciting because I didn't get cherry Coke. That made my day. So mark the time of day. I literally was so excited.
So Pappy 20, I won a local raffle, got that. Retail on it was $259 because they went a little bit above MSRP.
Which is fair.
That's fair. I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's not.
No, and the bottle's almost
I wouldn't be upset with that.
Because I've been letting everybody and their dog try it because I hate it. I mean, I hate that. Like I won't even try it. Like when I get people over for tastings, I pour them and I pour me, and we drink the same thing at the same time, and they see me pouring everything, and then we get to the Pappy 20 and I don't pour it, and they're like, why aren't you pouring it? And I'm like, I'll tell you when you're done. And then I'm like, because I hate it. And it's so funny because people's expression's hilarious because they're like, oh, this is not, you know, they know they're drinking Pappy
Right.
and they're supposed to love it. And they're like, this is not, and I'm like, I hate it. And they're like, oh, thank God. I didn't like it at all.
So I'm just excited that, I don't know if it's your bottle that you got, but I didn't get Buffalo Trace on it. And that made, I mean, like when I smelt it originally.
20-year wheated bourbon.
Still, when I smelt it originally, I was like, oh shit. We got, when it smells textbook Buffalo Trace. And I was like, no, please no. And so when I sipped it, and maybe it's because I inhaled it, I didn't get that. But I totally was like, this tastes like olive.
So what year was that?
19. It was last year.
19?
Yeah.
Last year.
And
So
it's,
that was exciting.
yeah. And so let's move on to your
We
bottles.
still got 2 more glasses.
Yeah, your final
Okay.
2. Curious on these 2 as well.
Oh, I want to climb in this glass and live here. It is cream. So I said the other one tastes like cream brulee. I was wrong. This is like burnt sugar, vanilla, creamy, my mouth's watering.
I'm gonna drink.
Oak.
I went back to the Pappy 20, mossy oak.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I said.
Mossy oak.
Yeah,
Mossy wood.
and cherry. You got it. There is a cherry aspect in the smell. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a tiny. It's got the vanilla, the creamy, the burnt sugar, a touch, a hint of oak, but that is more in my wheelhouse than I think the other 3 were.
Okay. I poured that one so I could drink it with you.
That good, huh? This one is very good too.
5 is darker.
Yes, very much so. More. I really like that one, but this one's really good too. I'm trying to get some flavor notes on it because you saying it's good is like.
Well, I know,
not
but like.
helpful.
I get like a fruitiness.
You're on D?
Yes, almost like a fruit pie. Like it feels like there's like cherry and apples and apricot
There's no
and
cherry in
pears.
that. I will go with everything you said until you said cherry. That is my jam.
There's even like the baking crust in there.
This one has
Graham
like,
cracker.
This one has like a little bit of a funky smell too. Yeah, like that one was beautiful. I haven't even tasted it. I was smelling. Here, you can have that one back.
Wow. Lots of baking spice.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of baking spice.
Oh, that's good.
A little bit of oakiness.
Yeah, mostly bacon spice. I feel like
Actually, decent amount of
baking
oakiness.
soda.
Seems like
this has got like a baking soda-y.
that like tingly.
Uh-huh, I like the single. This is amazing. I like this one.
Mm.
I'm in this at like 75 to 80 bucks. Except I can still getting the olive from the last glass.
Water.
Yeah, but then it waters down the flavor and it's awful. I can't get water to that far back in my throat because like literally I almost snarfed it when I inhaled.
I was doing a review of a cash strength whiskey one time and it was
Oh, I'm
live
sorry.
and I breathed it and
I did that.
somehow, I don't know how, somehow I was able to suck it up and finish the recording. And then I coughed for 20 minutes when I turned off the camera.
I had to leave one of our, we were live on a Friday night and I did the exact same thing. And I literally inhaled it, snarfed it, coughed it up, thought I was going to die, went to the bathroom, threw up because I couldn't handle it, and came back and I was like, I'm done. Sorry, you guys. That's the end of this. And yeah, so I've been there. And the fact that you were able to keep on going, you're a trooper.
Yeah, and there was another like really experienced guy in the whiskey community that sent me a text message because he had my cell phone number and he's like, I don't know how you did that. That was amazing. Like I would have turned the camera off.
I feel like D is something really good.
E's got like oak, apple, some more funk. E is weird. I'm really curious on what's E. I wouldn't be in on it more than 4. I can see why people would like it. It's got like some really dark fruits and really dark like smells to it.
Ooh. I feel like E might be a rye, like a well-aged rye.
That might be why it's so funky. Because I'm trying to think of it as a bourbon.
That minty.
Spearmint-y, dilly weirdness. Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe you're influenced.
It reminds me of the Lock, Stock, and Barrel 18-year.
Okay.
I did not like that one, so yeah, that would make sense.
Like almost like that Canadian rye.
Okay.
I don't give E high reviews.
I would say D. What'd you say, $80?
75 to $80.
I'm in D, 150, 160.
I'm a cheapskate.
Maybe 180. I
really liked D.
D has a lot going on in it.
E.
D has a lot going on.
I think if I was going to label these in my least of favorites, I would say it was going to be D, C, B, A, E.
So E's your least favorite.
E is my least favorite out of all of these. And I would
say D is my favorite.
D is definitely my favorite.
E.
I want to like it. The smells are smell-wise, it would be D, E, C, B, A. But
I'm gonna say E, $80. D, 150 maybe.
Maybe I'll even go 90, like 80 to 90. I wouldn't feel bad. D is pretty damn good.
I spend way more on bourbon than she does, so.
Yeah.
I spend zero. I spend $0. I don't buy my bourbon. Like I just go, what's in the cabinet? And Kyle goes, don't drink that bottle. And I'm like, anyway, watch me.
Yeah. That's how it works sometimes. So we've got your selections. So you guys chose wisely. Before I do the reveal, Aaron, I'd like for you to grab glass E and smell and tell me if you get any cleaning agent like Pine Sol.
I don't.
You
get any
I
pine?
like gin though. I drink a good bit of. I can drink some gin, but
Do you get any pine needle? Any pine?
not at all. Here,
No?
do you get any of that? Because I don't get any of that. Now, see, I totally got the
Yes.
olives, but I didn't get any pine.
When
Yes.
I taste it, all I taste is clean.
Pine sap.
Yeah.
Pine sap.
But it's
What?
like a bitter pine. Like it's not a good
Well, I
pine.
get the bitter, but not the pine.
It's like a bitter pine. It's not like Willet sometimes has like that
I hate
pine
that.
cone, you know. But this is like, I don't know. All right.
Well, pine is kind of along that that mint dill path. You know what I mean? Like it's that greeny.
This is totally
So
different.
what is E? I need to see E.
Yeah.
E is Thomas Handy,
So it is a rye.
2019.
Okay.
I am a huge Thomas H. Handy fan. I've had many years, and this was almost a drain pourer for me. Like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, and of course, I would never drain pour a Thomas Handy. I'm just saying, like, this is another bottle that I do not drink when I pour it for people. Like,
You're like, oh, you want to try that? Yeah.
Here you go.
Have fun.
Have as much as you want. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not a
and
fan.
it's
There's better ryes.
it's just for me, all I get is like this weird bitter pine sap, pine needle. It tastes a little like Pine Sol smells to me. It's like got this chemically thing to it. I didn't love it. But
Weird.
you guys chose wisely. You said, I think 180 was the highest number I heard you say for D.
Yeah.
It is Knob Creek.
Why am I not surprised? My big heart.
Rye.
Okay.
And the reason why I threw this in here is because everybody loses their mind for the Booker's Rye, which everybody has that sad whiskey story about the bottle that got away.
Yep.
I had a Booker's Rye secured for me by a friend when on release at retail. And he had gotten like a case of it from the store. Because keep in mind, when it came out, it wasn't a big deal. Like everyone was like, are we really going to pay this much money for a Booker's? You know, like it had never happened before. And everyone was freaking out. And I was like, I'll take one because I'm a bit of a tater. And then he called me up and he was like, hey, I actually had gotten several for other people, but then when I went to the store, they didn't have as many as they thought, and I'll take care of you before them. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of expensive. And so
I would have given my left hand.
Go ahead and give it to them. And then I didn't get one. And I would have drank it in the first year when I got it anyway, before everybody freaked out over it, because I open everything. And so I keep telling people Knob Creek Rye is the closest, or the cash strength Knob Creek Rye is the closest you're going to get to a Booker's Rye. And it's
you know what,
and it's,
you know what I really like from them is the cask strength rye. Some of the rye single barrels are really good, but the twice barreled rye, I really, especially for people that don't like rye, like it's a very bourbon, rye to me.
Yeah.
But I really like that twice barreled rye, and like I said, the cask strength and
this was a rye.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never in my right mind guessed rye on that.
Well, and it's Knob Creek, so it's only 51% rye. It's almost a bourbon.
It's barely rye.
That's okay.
Barely
rye. It is absolutely amazing.
But I'm glad that you picked that one. That's the one that I probably would. If I were to pick these, I think I would pick probably D, then B, and then A, and probably, man, it's a toss-up between which one I hate more, the Pappy 20 or the Thomas Handy 19. I don't know. I hate them both equal. They'd both be last place.
Randy, thank you so much for reaching out to us and A, having us on your show, and B, coming on our show. We really appreciate it, and this has been totally fun. We should totally do this again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Live stream.
I could we should.
How are you on Friday nights, and are you up for the long haul?
Oh, I'm totally down for the long haul.
We love it.
On Bourbon Real Talk, I always end every episode by saying the same thing. And that is, you woke up this morning and you were unsure whether or not anyone loved you. Just know that I love you, and I'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk.
This content is being brought to you by the Bourbon Real Talk American Whiskey Aroma Kit. This is a tool that I put together to help all you whiskey aficionados out there develop your palates. You can sit down with the vials and train your senses, or you can sit down with a great dram and break that whiskey down to its components. If you have any interest of purchasing a kit of your own, head on over to bourbonrealtalk.com/shop and pick one up. Thank you for listening.